Let's bring in Dan Crenshaw, lives this every day, a congressman from Texas. Dan, none of the numbers surprise you, but they say there's over 2 million, and when the year came to an end, over 2 million people crossed illegally, let alone the people we missed. They say they tossed out at CBP 62% under Title 42. Does anyone believe that number? 62% have been tossed out?
Well, Brian, even if we do believe that number, that leaves about 1 million that still made it in. You know, so that's the real problem here. We know that hundreds of thousands of people have been let loose, sometimes given some sort of notice to reappear, sometimes not. We know from data that approximately 90% of people who come from Northern Triangle countries do not show up for their court date. This is a common myth that the left tries to put out there, and it's not true. The data actually shows, recent data from DHS shows about 90% do not show up. Okay? Now, as far as the other myths that they perpetuate, that this is some form of compassion, that you're just taking care of people who have a worse life than you and you should be welcoming them, this is not compassionate. I mean, you just listed all of these horrible, heart-wrenching news stories that have occurred on the border because human smugglers are trying to escape police. You talk about the human smuggling itself. You talk about the fact that we've lost more people from fentanyl deaths than COVID from ages 18 to 45. This is a real crisis in America, and this administration doesn't want to do anything about it. They don't. Now, they were forced to do something about it. Let me give you a little bit of piece of good news to end with here. The good news is that the courts forced them to reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, the so-called MPP program. Since that time, which is not very long ago, we've seen the crossings drop by about 30%. This is an actual Trump policy deterrent that works, and we should keep doing it.
Congressman, speaking of former President Donald Trump, Iran has made their feelings known. They still have revenge on their mind when it came to the killing of Soleimani. I think we're approaching an anniversary of that drone attack. And here we have, speaking of drone attacks, in Iraq, U.S. forces have foiled, just west of Baghdad, a drone attack. It's the second time in as many days. I know you were in Fallujah. You served with SEAL Team 3 in Iraq. When you see what's happening there now with this drone attack, what's going on connected to Iran? What's happening in Iraq?
Yeah, look, it is the Middle East, so you're seeing drone attacks and rocket attacks on the regular. That's something we're quite accustomed to. I actually look at this a little differently. I think it's interesting that on the anniversary of the killing of Soleimani, remember President Trump did that famous strike against Soleimani 2 years ago. Everybody thought the world was going to end. Everybody thought there was going to be a massive conflict with Iran and World War III was going to start. And then what happened? Well, not very much. And relatively speaking, this is a pretty insignificant response 2 years later to that strike of Soleimani. So it shows a couple things. One, that Trump policy of taking decisive action and therefore reestablishing deterrence with our enemies, it does actually work. Peace through strength, strength through peace. Yes, peace through strength actually does work. And I think Trump showed that in a variety of cases. We can't undo that leverage. Right now, you're seeing the Biden administration want to renegotiate the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal with Iran, go back to the table. That's a mistake because inevitably what they do with that negotiation table is give up leverage after we've spent years reestablishing that leverage and reestablishing that deterrence with Iran.
So, Congressman, you're mentioning Iran. You have the mullahs there that are saying they want revenge for Soleimani's death, threatening to kill Pompeo or President Trump. In Russia, they're preparing to invade Ukraine. They're also working with China and Iran. You have China continuing to invade Taiwan's airspace. In Afghanistan, we still have allies there, not to mention what we talked about at the top of your interview with the border and sex traffickers and sexual abusers coming across and bringing fentanyl as well. So you have all of this foreign policy crisis. And if you look at what the State Department's covering, they've promoted 8 times in the last month Secretary Blinken's Spotify playlist. They want you to listen to it, his Taylor Swift songs. Why is he promoting this? Why are they promoting this instead of talking about things that really matter in America?
Yeah, it's fascinating. You could call this playlist the bury your head in the sand playlist. It was probably put together by some 20-year-old intern. I mean, when you look at the playlist, that's what it appears to me to be. And this is what Anthony Blinken listens to when he doesn't want to deal with the world's problems and do his job. Again, whether it's Americans left behind in Afghanistan, whether it's the Russia-Ukraine border, whether it's the China-Taiwan issue, whether it's our southern border, pick any of them. Anthony Blinken doesn't want to deal with it.
Yep.
And this, look, in politics, we always walk this line of doing professional things on the one hand, but also showing the people that we're human and that we can do fun things. But there's a time and place for that. And with the world as it is right now, with this administration under such deserved scrutiny, they shouldn't be promoting silly playlists that were clearly meant for teenagers.
Right. He says music's going to bring the world together. Good luck with that. Congressman Dan Crenshaw, thanks so much.